Okay, thank you. This is Tuesday, January 21, planning board meeting. We have a quorum. Is there a motion to open the meeting?
Motion?
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, our first matter is a continued public hearing. This is for the Panetti application. This is at 2 Main Street, Kisco Park. And this is an application for a site development plan approval, application for a preliminary subdivision approval, stormwater management, and erosion and sedimentation control for construction of a new single-family residence. So we last heard this last April? Really? Was it that long ago?
Has been that long, yes.
Wow, we missed you. We're supposed to reciprocate, but if you don't want to, it's okay.
I know I didn't miss you very much. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So for the record, Ralph Alpizay, the
Yep.
engineer for the project. I honestly don't really remember what the last plan you saw, but I believe the driveway used to come in this area here.
Yeah, there was one version that way, yes.
Yep, we had to move it because of site distance. Bob Cioli brought up the the fact that the topo along the road was estimated from GIS, so we had to get the surveyor to go out there and get accurate topo in each direction. We've done that. All that information is here in this upper corner here. We show the site distance, it's complying. I did see there are some comments from the town engineer, they seem technical in nature. I did see Dennis's comments, we can accommodate what he wants, spread out the trees and move them around a bit. Here to answer any questions.
So the major change was really the driveway alignment, Ralph?
Correct, the driveway alignment, we might have moved the house slightly,
Yeah.
a foot or two in one or.
But septic and septic expansion all the same, no
That's all the
changes? Right.
I think when we were talking about the driveway, at one time, all the trees were being cut down as part of a line of sight. But then we had a discussion about maybe we could keep the trees and just limb them up, so we didn't clear out every tree along the street. I don't know if that ever continued, that dialogue. Yeah, that way if you limb them up, at least sitting in a car, you can still
You
see.
can see through, yeah,
Right.
that's not an issue, we can do that, it's more money for us to cut a tree down than it's gonna cut limbs, absolutely. High height for the car is 3.5 feet up, so we wouldn't have to cut that many.
Right. And the deer may have already done it for you with their grazing line.
You're right, the only issue there, if we would have to remove the tree, there is some areas that we would have to take out some of the slope on the side of the road. If there's a tree planted in that, we have to cut down that area, then we would have to take that tree down.
Correct, yeah.
Okay. So that was a major change. I guess we can be referring now to the comments that we have from our staff. So Mr. Graham, would you like to go through your comment?
Good evening, board, Mr. Chairman. From a planning perspective, the applicant has addressed all of my concerns. They've provided updated cover sheets, and are within the coverage limits for both development and building coverage. And so, I think that from my perspective, there's no additional work for them to do to be zoning compliant. I do think I would defer to Bob and Dennis in regards to their area of specialty to determine whether or not this application is ready to move forward or not.
Okay, very good. Bob, do you want to address your comments?
Yes, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Stormwater comments I have are some technical tweaks. ST1 to the, I guess, really provides some sort of backup. Ralph, the .111, I'm not quite sure. The .dash, just give me a little blurb on that. ST2 basically are details they show in the plan, but they don't show any details on the sections. ST3 just show minimum distance, so there's no misunderstanding between where the minimum is and where the contract puts it. Sometimes you might not know it's 10 feet, you put it 5 feet away, so just show that. ST4, I know you did it, they're good, but make sure the side and stand, put them on the plans, put them in the report as well. ST5, I know you did submit it once before, but for some reason it's not in this report. So please put them in, that's the watershed plan for the existing proposed. And make certain that you change your narrative, because we do have a new regulation where anything in the quarter acre district, which this property is located, the impervious area greater than 250 does require stormwater, so that's been it's been strengthened a little bit more, so please incorporate that. And ST7 standard, obviously is 1/5000, so you need to swear from the DEC just for erosion. General comments, just some minor comments on the pavement detail for the water service line. Make sure we'd like to see that sand around the service lines. GC2 has some technical comments on the proposed driveway profile, some additional elevations and stationing should be put on there. Indicate the driveway centerline stationing minimum should be 30 feet, I'm sure it is, but it's always good to put it on there so we know it complies. GC4 is good news, you don't really need the 2-foot object height. We have the driver's height coming into the intersection, looking down to the driveway, they can all be 3.5 feet.
So Bob, that would help Greg's comment, right, about perhaps limbing up the trees? That would lessen it would help the applicant.
It's gonna help where you don't have to cut as any, but regarding the trees, yeah, I mean, we've done that in the past, if you can cut them up 7 feet, that'd be great, provided, the trees are not directly in the line of sight when they stop, 8-10 feet back, but you can see how that works in the field, and we can go back and make a final determination. But yeah, that's been done in the past, Mr. Chairman, where they do take off the limbs up to 7 feet. It seems to work pretty well in most cases. GC5, the value should be shown where it should be. It must have been on the last plan, they never changed it. GC6, you gotta get a street opening permit from board, contact Judy Golden on that. Provide copies of the on-site wastewater treatment system, the OWTS. For some reason, the subdivision map comments were not addressed based on my last memo of April, I believe. I had SM1 up to SM7, so you might want to submit that so I can check that through. And those are my comments for tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so real just quick, I have 2 questions. On GC6 and GC7, I believe both of those will happen after subdivision?
Yes, those are usually put in the conditions that you have to get prior to the issuance of a BP.
Okay, and the subdivision map comments are addressed, you just do not have the latest plan. We'll get that to you.
Right, I think he's missing it.
Right, I've never seen these comments addressed, so I don't know who you survey, but I would go to him and give him these comments and have him address them. And submit them to me, and I can review them when I get them.
Okay, great. Dennis, your comments?
Oh, okay, thank you, Chairman. So yeah, the first one, always fun going through the calculations, but again, I think it was obvious sort of what the differentiation was, which was to your advantage. We don't count up stems to make it that sort of specimen size tree, so it got knocked down 25%. That was why there was just a reduction of 3 trees for, in this case, since you proposed remainder of the tree bank fund, that's what make the 31 down to the 28. We'll see if that changes any further based on some of the initial comments, I guess, from the board and Bob's recommendation that, if you can avoid removal and do limbing, that may satisfy what he needs. But that was just my mathematical comment. The general comment is, we do some sort of, the tree protection I like after they're planted based on the trunk, because deer just love newly planted trees to get development off their antlers, so they always get rubbed, and so any type of protection that I recommended that sort of doesn't wrap around the tree. I'm not a wrap fan, no offense to music lovers. I'm just talking about any of those plastic guards that like loosely fit, allow ventilation and air, and obviously the deer, they don't go after those trees that are protected, so that would just help guard them and protect them and make them, they may survive but they won't look as nice, so you want them to as intended. So that should be included on the plans. Again, the species that you chose and their distribution, as far as all the numerics 121-6 requires, that was acceptable. I think the species you selected is suitable for the site. I don't think that would be an issue. I just always get concerned when applicants propose larger caliber trees from the nursery because it's just a tough transition. So that's why we typically are in that 2 to 2.5 inch caliber size when we recommend applicants to replacement requirements, and if they insist on going with the larger size trees, then we're gonna need to see a little bit more in terms of irrigation system and what kind of care those trees would get, because they just need more care. It's just a fact. And my final comment was, it seems like the location plantings, kind of resembled like two cluster locations. And I think that rear cluster, due to its proximity to the septic, if work needed to be done in the future, just to account for, a radius of disturbance, a radius of equipment access, a radius of, any types of excavations or whatever that may affect the roots of these planted trees down the road, you seem to have opportunity to rearrange or move them such that you could avoid that zone of influence. So that was my recommendation for those trees. And if you wanted to do something, I didn't put this in the memo, but if you wanted to meet or do something in the field to do, like a sighting, I'm fine with that too. That pretty much does it for my comments, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Very good, okay.
Dennis, can I ask you a question?
Of course.
In the 2.5 inch versus 4 inch, if an applicant were to plant 4 inches and they put in irrigation, are you comfortable with that, or do you always prefer 2 to 2.5 inches irrigation or no irrigation? Just for education for going forward.
Sure. You can get away with less, or if there was an issue with the plan and the larger tree, it's not gonna be as forgiving. In a perfect world, if everything worked, yes, you could live with a 4 inch tree and
If it was
all that extra
irrigated.
care, right. But in a lot of these situations, again, I haven't been here as long as some other people, but there's really no assurance or guarantee that, after the site is signed off on, that custody sometimes is carried through because the house is transferred ownership and, so it's those types of things that I just try to keep in the back of my mind to, what is the best bang for your buck, and if things don't go quite right, how are we gonna do going forward? So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ralph, I had a question on, you were talking about tree replacement, but the same token, it seems to me that there are some trees here, I just don't understand the reason why they're being removed. So for example, tree number 10, which is I think a fairly large 30-inch sugar maple over by the wetland line, why is that being removed? Trees 8 and 9, I don't think they're in the septic area, why are they being removed? The comment I have in general is that we understand, there has to be a house, there's gonna be a driveway, there has to be septic. But to the extent that we don't have to remove them, unless there's some sort of compelling design reason that we haven't heard about, I'm not so sure why these need to be removed or why they are scheduled to be removed.
I think 10 is close to the house, or actually 10 is gonna be right where the dry wells are located, and there's some fill in this area. And I believe 8 and 9 are in this fill area here.
Yep.
Right above the septic.
So that's fill from the septic area to
Yeah,
level it out?
It's really fill from around the house, we may be able to put a tree well around one of those and save it. We can look at doing that. Kinda close to the house, but we can look at doing that.
Yeah, if you can, I mean, a 30-inch tree is a specimen tree in our law, and something that we try to protect. I'm not so sure tree wells will work with sugar maples. They have pretty shallow roots,
Well,
so.
The 30 inch is the one number 10, I
Yes.
believe.
Mhm.
That one might be a little bit more difficult to save.
And that, again, is because of
The-
spreading soil out that way?
Yes, and the drainage system that's in that area.
Okay. Perhaps the drainage system can be rejiggered? Well, I mean, take-
Well, there's certain setbacks from septic systems to the drainage
of course,
system.
yes.
There's setbacks to the house. And that's where testing was done.
Mhm.
I think the front of the lot is a significant amount of rock and it would be higher, so it would be tough to get the drainage there. We kind of shoehorned in there. I can look at it to see if we can save it, but I'm kind of doubtful.
Okay, understood. I appreciate you looking at it and the trees that are in the front into the southern end of the property, I think they may be away from the driveway now, but again, you may have to grade out because of the driveway. Is that why we're losing those trees?
Just a bit, which trees are you speaking in particular? 21,
33, 34, 35, 28,
Yeah.
29, that area.
Yep.
Just to the southeast of the pole. Again, if it's being graded out, that's
Yeah, I
understandable, I guess, but then perhaps instead, perhaps a retaining wall can be done.
We can look at it, I think those might fall kind of at the edge of this parking area here,
Mm-hmm.
because we're right next to that 18-inch oak, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, they're a little bit further in from the oak. From that 18-inch oak number,
It's unnumbered.
does not have a number on it.
Right.
But I think the pavement, and when they they place the pavement in the fill, that tree might end up dying. So-
Of course. The
I'd rather show a tree getting cut, and then if we can save it, we will.
sure.
But I don't wanna show a tree being saved and then all of a sudden out there it's cut.
The,
Stems will get mad at me.
The dimensions of the turnaround are different, a little bit odd. You have this area that comes back out toward Main Street, a little lip there,
Yes.
as opposed to just a
Like a double
traditional-
hammerhead.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So I'm wondering perhaps if you didn't do that, we would have some of those trees saved, and I think from the standpoint of both the homeowner as well as folks on the road, you would save those trees and you'd have some screening from the trees. It looks like an oversized turnaround, frankly, but if you got plans for basketball courts or whatever else.
No, there was actually, I think one of Bob's earlier comments was a truck turning exhibit. And I think we put a truck in there to show it coming in, turning around and going back out, but we can look at it and maybe
Okay.
we can take this entire thing and shift it towards the house, so this is kind of straight across here.
Oh, yeah.
I can look at that, but I want honest
Sure,
on the
of course.
fly.
Of course. Well, I think we have to continue the public hearing anyway, get the map in that Bob has to look at. And so if you can just look at those little things, we'll just schedule the continued public hearing with an eye toward closing it next time around and getting you on your way,
Okay,
all right?
we can do that.
Do we have a time frame that we can schedule this?
The next submission deadline is February 10th, and that's for the March 4th meeting.
Okay. Let's do that.
Okay, great,
Okay, very good.
very good, okay, thanks. Any other questions, anyone? Okay,
And we leave it open, right?
yes. Yeah, we'll continue the public hearing.
That's Dennis Clark.
Okay, our next item is the public hearing for the Greeley Pizza Bar, 17 King Street. This is a site development plan approval for a change of use.
Hello.
Yep.
Yes, hello, my name is Alejandro Molina. I am the architect for that interior renovation of the commercial space located at 17 King Street. The proposed use, as mentioned, is gonna be a restaurant, a pizza and salad restaurant. The previous use was a gift and stationery shop, so we're changing the use, but it's all interior renovation, no changes to the footprint of the building, all interior work. The restaurant is gonna have a capacity of less than 50 people at all times, so in that regard, we understand it will not require the place assembly permit, it's just gonna work as a business. A wood fire oven and 2 electrical ovens will be the means of cooking, and then salad bars for the other food that is gonna be offered.
Chairman, can we open the public hearing?
Yeah. Is there a motion to open the public hearing, by the way?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Aye. Thank you, Felicia. You don't have to repeat that, we got it. Sorry. Okay. Any questions at all on this from staff?
Mr. Chairman, I don't have any questions. I do have some changes to the resolution, if you're going to go there. So other than that, the plans are zoning compliant. It's a change of use to turn what was a stationery store into a pizza restaurant. There's really no exterior changes. And all of it is interior renovations, which need to comply with building codes, ADA requirements, and fire safety.
And the applicant complies with the parking, right, because he's in the parking district?
Correct, they're in the parking district. As always, we ask them to do a parking calculation so we know how many spaces they would need per the town code. They have provided that, it is in the resolution for your consideration.
Right, and I think we considered last time around the garbage removal and how they were going to treat that, so we covered that as well. I think
Correct.
we're satisfied with that as well. Okay. Any questions? Did you incorporate that one change, Sabrina, about?
That one change has not yet been incorporated, but I was looking at other change of use resolutions, and there is a statement in there of how it is consistent with the change of use. In the code, there's a reference to, in previous resolutions, we've had a reference to 5 different points. The proposed use serves a community need or convenience, the location, the nature, intensity, operations is in relation to it, the location is in harmony with the BRP zoning district. The nature and height of buildings, walls and fences, so there's just some standard language which we need to incorporate into this resolution. And then previously you have asked either for notes on the plan or you put a condition in regarding scrubbers to be added to the roof of the building to help dissipate the food odors. That's the language that was used, and many times you requested that note be placed on the plan so that it doesn't have to be a condition, or it's a condition to place it on the plan.
Good, I think that sounds fair. Good. Okay. Well, any other questions at all?
The resolution.
Well, we haven't got to yet. So if not, no comments, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion?
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have the resolution before us and we'll have those changes that Sabrina was mentioning. So is there a motion to adopt the resolution with those changes?
Motion.
Second?
I
Second?
have a question on the
Sure.
resolution.
Sure.
So on the front page, we talk about the hours that they're gonna operate, the deliveries, and then the waste management, when they're gonna, and then on page 3, we're having them add a note, line 40, where it says they're subject to change. So first off, the waste delivery is not on page 3 in that way, in line 40. And then if we're in the recital, should we say that all these hours are subject to change, similar to what we're saying, put on the note on the plans?
Is subject to change?
Say again?
Are the hours subject to change and the delivery subject to change?
It could be, I mean, if you're asking me, I'm gonna put them in the plans, but the operation of the restaurant in the future may need to change those hours. So that's the initial plan, is the hours that we gave there that are in the resolution, from 10 AM to 10 PM. Restaurant
We should
safety.
put, I think we should amend the page one whereas it says the Grilly Pizza Bar will conduct hours of operation Monday through Sunday from 10 AM to 10 PM unless other wise changed or some language like that to leave it a little bit flexible for him as a business owner.
Yeah.
And then we can match the language on page 3, Jeff, as you mentioned, to refer to that.
Yeah, and then as far as like the waste management also, I mean, he's
Yeah.
using a private provider. He may sign up for Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they say, no, we'll get you Monday, you know. Just don't want it to be any, what I call the foot faults.
Yes, I agree. I
Okay.
agree. So we can amend those two conditions to be a little bit more flexible and to be consistent with each other.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Good catch.
Yeah, all three of them.
Good. Then as amended with the additional amendments, is there a motion to adopt the resolution?
Yeah, motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, you're all set. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Okay, we move now to an informal appearance, and this is the Midas Main Street, Lot Court 90 Inningwood Road. This is an application for a site development plan, steep slopes and tree removal permit. We last heard this back in December of 22.
Hey, good evening. David Sessions, KSCJ Consulting. Andre Fernandez and William DeVore are on with us, representing the owner. The owner is, as you said, Midas Main Street Lot Corp., located at 90 Inningwood Road. This is I know there's a couple of new board members that I don't think have had the pleasure of of hearing this application in the past, so I'll just do a very brief history here. The property is located, Route 100 is located here, Inningwood Road is located here. Route 100 continues down this way to the north. The property is about 3.5 acres in total. There is a zoning district boundary line that runs right across the middle of the property here. This is our 1A zone on the south, and to the north is our 2A zone. And this is where the subject of the proposed development is taking place. Fairly steep site, a lot of steep slopes. There are two main areas that are relatively flat, one being here and then one being down in this area. Not coincidentally, we're proposing our development on those two flat sites. This area would be the driveway and the house site, and over here would be the proposed septic system. We secured Westchester County Health Department approval for the septic several years ago. Just put this up here. Septic system is located here, and again, this is the R2 section of the site. The remainder of the site is off to the south. So the septic is located here. There is a very steep slope along the frontage of Inningwood Road located here, as most of the board knows. Interestingly enough, this section of Inningwood Road is controlled by the New York State DOT. I can't give you the legal history, but this is the frontage, this is the property line of the proposed, or of the existing site. This entire frontage along here, as well as this section of road, is owned and controlled by the DOT. It's an interesting situation, but that's the situation. So we did need a New York State DOT curb cut permit to allow a driveway access from that road at that point, that particular location. So back in before 2020, I think it was 2017 or 18, previous owner, we did get approval from the planning board to construct a driveway leading up to a house site. That was a different owner. Again, we did approve that did get the septic system approved at that time. The owner did not choose to, for whatever reason, the conditions of the approval were never satisfied. The approval lapsed, although we did continue to approve the septic system or get the septic system renewed every year. But it lapsed. Subsequently, the previous owner sold the property to the current owner, I believe in about 2021 or so. Since 2021, we've been on and off been before your board, going back and forth with different designs for the property. The previous approval had the house site a little further to the south, somewhere in this vicinity. That was the approved house site with the driveway in about the same location. By the time the previous owner sold to the new owner and the new owner came back to the planning board reconsidered certain things on the site and suggested that the house site be moved a little closer to the north. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of architectural discussion and site work discussion and so forth. And this is where the applicant ended up, with the driveway in about the same location and a house site located here. You'll notice this access off of Route 100. This access is a proposed construction access, and this was the subject of a lot of discussion with the planning board and the
David,
town staff.
is that off of 100 or off of Inningwood?
That's off of Inningwood.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're all off of Inningwood. Also controlled by the DOT. So the owner of the property is in the construction business, has quite a bit of experience with site work, rock removal and so forth. His proposal at the time, and it still is that we gain access to the site from this temporary construction access so that the machines can station themselves above the large rock area and the large embankment. The reason being, as you know, this is a very, very steep embankment, bedrock embankment. And in order to cut in this proposed driveway, if we don't gain access to the top of the site, we would have to station vehicles literally on Inningwood Road, have lane closures for weeks at a time, so on and so forth. We've had these discussions with, let me back up. Planning board finally, after discussing all of this, the planning board said, and I don't wanna put words in your mouth, but in general, the planning board said, you know what, you need a DOT permit. The DOT controls this road. Before we make any final decisions here, go to DOT, see what they have to say, secure your permit to get your curb cut in the location that you're proposing. So the applicant went away, went to DOT. About a year or so later, we secured our DOT permit, which is about maybe 2 or 3 months ago. 2, 3, 4 months ago, we secured the DOT permit for the location of the driveway here and for the construction access. As you can imagine, the DOT is not interested in having construction vehicles stationed on their road, lane closures for weeks at a time while they chip the rock to create this driveway. So that was obviously part and parcel of the DOT permit. So we come before you with a renewed septic system, a DOT permit for the proposed driveway in this location and the DOT approving the temporary construction access. If you look through the package, one of the requirements of the DOT was that once construction is completed, or at least substantially completed, we obviously close off this construction access to Inningwood Road and place large boulders across here with a very large evergreen tree here so as to dissuade any future access. What we wanna do is obviously just make this go away after construction so that there's no way that anybody can access this with vehicles or anything else for that matter. So that was part of the DOT's permit. It is a 4-bedroom house, it's always been a 4-bedroom house. No question that this is a large rock cut. We've gone back and forth with the planning board and with Bob and with Sabrina, and we've attempted to work out the technical issues. We did receive memos from Dennis, from Sabrina, and from Bob recently. We have every intention of taking care of those memos, addressing every one of those technical items. But we are here after 4+ years of my client trying to get a 4-bedroom house approved here. We're asking the planning board to take a look at this, take a look at the facts and say, okay, we've examined this enough as far as the access, the house site, the septic, and obviously we're prepared to address the technical issues, but we really wanna move forward and try to get to the finish line on this finally. So, board sent us away, we got our DOT permit, we're back, and we're looking to move forward at this point.
As I recall, one of the assignments we also gave the applicant was to come back and definitively define the property rights here. And that was to definitively figure out who owns what in terms of, and I guess implicitly, it seems that the New York State DOT is claiming ownership.
Of 100 feet off the road.
Yeah, in other words, your
Yeah.
property line, nothing's working here.
They only work on that.
Oh, okay. I don't
So
know.
that's the property line, right?
Exactly, so you have this area that's in between the property line and the road.
Yeah.
But more importantly, I mean, I understand that, and I guess implicitly, we're hearing, although we're not explicitly hearing, that the ownership of the road is X, the ownership of the right of way is Y. I think we're gonna hear differently from the town engineer. But the issue is, I don't understand what's gonna happen with the maintenance of that sight line to the is that west on Inningwood going up the hill?
Yes.
Because that needs to be maintained, and my understanding is, first of all, that's not your property, it's state property, it's also fronting on someone else's property. Who's gonna maintain that? Who's going to, in the future that is, whose responsibility is that? Is that something that the applicant is proposing to put onto the town, or the DOT's not gonna do it, they don't have the manpower to do it, so how is that gonna be maintained? What's your view on that in terms of, cause that's critical to this, because the sight lines on this, and by the way, everyone really needs to get out there, we need to do a site visit. I've been there a couple of times. To speak in terms of steep slope is
Yeah.
is a misnomer, it's a cliff that's being designed here,
Yeah.
to cut through this. But the sight lines here are really critical, and so I was just wondering, David, what the thought was and what the plan was, because that would be something that the town, of course, would be interested, I think the DOT will be interested too, but
Yeah.
my understanding is that it, well, Bob will speak to this, but in terms of responsibility going forward, on the road, maintenance is has to be determined.
Yeah.
And I thought that was one of the reasons why we had instructed the applicant to come back with definitive information about ownership, even a title report to know who owns what, when, and how, because it really was a mystery to all of us.
Yeah.
I think it was even a mystery when informally to the DOT.
It was.
And I know we're getting verbal communications from the DOT, et cetera, but I don't think that really satisfies, we really need to have this on the record, but
Yeah.
my thoughts on that. And again, we haven't done that.
Before you answer, Dave, would the applicant have an easement from DOT to use the driveway? Because you said they got a permit for a curb cut, but is there a formal easement agreement, or theoretically the applicant's trespassing every time they drive up and down their driveway?
No, an easement is not required. I mean, this,
Well, that was one of the reasons why we thought
Yeah.
that this formality of determining the legality and who owned what and how this was going to be accessed, that was one of the issues.
Yeah, like let's say the applicant decides
Yeah.
along the whole side of the road, he wants to cut down, he wants to do something, his whole driveway, but he can't, or can he? I mean, that's what, I guess it all is ownership.
it's although this is a pretty deep property that the DOT owns, it's deeper than typical. I mean, typically on a state road, where you've got a proposed or a constructed driveway, the DOT property usually extends anywhere from 10 to maybe 15 feet beyond the edge of pavement. It's the same situation here, only instead of 10 or 15 feet, it's
100.
It's 100. So it's essentially the same. As far as the maintenance is concerned, our initial submission to DOT showed a pretty robust landscaping plan in here. They unequivocally said, get it all out. No landscaping within our right of way at all. We're concerned about sight distance. And just as you said, Mr. Chairman, so I know I'm not answering the future maintenance question, but I just wanted to give you a little history about that. They were very, very clear, they wanted nothing in their right of way to obstruct any sight distance.
So that would be, what, just lawn, rock or lawn or walls or?
Yeah, I mean, I think the rock cut is going to extend probably 10 to 20 feet beyond the edge of pavement on this side and maybe 10 to 20 feet on the edge of pavement on that side. So, I mean, you couldn't really plant anything within that area anyway. And then it's just, beyond that, but again, that's the state right of way, they're not allowing anything. So, and I know that the planning board wanted some planting up here and we acquiesced and we proposed it at one point. But it's the state's road and they control it and they said, not gonna happen. So anyway, we've pulled our landscaping back to the property line and we do have a pretty robust landscaping plan. But as far as the future maintenance of that area, I honestly don't have an answer. I don't know if the DOT is going to take more control and be more proactive. My guess is they probably won't. If the town wants to be more proactive and if there are agreements in place as part of the resolution, I'll talk to my client about that. But obviously if it's a concern, and it sounds like it is a concern to your board, we're gonna have to work that out. I mean, I think my client is more than willing to do what, he's got to do to make sure that this is clear and unobstructive. So, that can be a discussion going forward.
Did the DOT in its permit give us dimensions in terms of where they want to see or not see plantings? How far do they want it cleared?
No,
I mean, one of the other concerns was that, aesthetically, one of the reasons that we're asking for plantings was that this was going to be a fairly open sore wound in this hillside. And we were hoping that we could mitigate that with some plantings. So again, to have something that looks like a exit ramp off the Taconic is probably something that is not very appealing to us.
understood.
I know you have some challenges on that, and I think frankly, you guys had good ideas because you had shrubs. It wasn't you were gonna plant big trees in there, so I
No.
just wonder if they can compromise, if we can reach some sort of compromise with the DOT on that to help you along and help us, because again, if it's just going to be a big rock swale or grass swale, we have evidence of those kinds of things in town previously, they're unsuccessful.
Especially when you get like 50 feet off the road, so you're in 50 feet, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, it's pretty far back from their line of sight at that
Yeah,
point.
I'm
I
just
can
wondering how
understand 10 feet off the road, that makes perfect
Yeah.
sense. But once you're into 100 feet back from the road edge, it seems like they
Yeah.
would, maybe just somebody's just doing a blanket, no, nothing in our right of way.
Yeah.
And they haven't really focused on
You know,
the specifics.
this is complete conjecture. We didn't have this discussion with DOT at all. It may very well be that they were thinking, okay, obviously we need to maintain the sight line. Maybe they didn't think, hey, you know what, if we go back 20 feet, the sight line will be absolutely maintained. Maybe between, and I'm making up a number, maybe between 20 feet back and the property line, maybe it doesn't matter if there's any plantings in there. We didn't have that discussion.
Right.
They didn't have that discussion with us, but you bring up a good point. They might have just said, no planting in our right of way, period, because that's typically what happens.
Yeah.
Because the right of way is all, usually a lot tighter to the road, right? We didn't have that discussion. We can engage them in that discussion. But it's possible that at the end of that discussion, they come back and say, sorry, we don't want anything in the right of way, and then we have what we have. Believe me, we wanna make this as attractive as possible. And we know we've got a challenge with the rock, but
Going back to the other question, do you know whether or not there's been any work, any legal work or any request for a title report or anything? Again, we had kind of emphasized that and previous council had emphasized that, and I think it had even worked with your group to say this is what you need to do and
Yeah.
even lended some guidance in terms of maybe taking a
Anybody?
short trip on it. Yes,
Can anybody hear me?
yep,
Yes.
we can hear you. You have to identify yourself for the record.
And planning board, can you hear me? I'm William DeVore, representative of the owner.
yes, we can hear you, Willie.
Okay, as far as the title report, when the New York State, when they came through and subdivided that land at that time to build the Taconic State Parkway, they reserved a right to us, the right of access to the property. It's in our deed. So why it's in our deed and how we're able to get a curb cut and a permit from New York State is because New York State has to provide curb cut to us, not landlocking us when they came through the property. So it's grandfathered in our deed, our title. This is the area that we're supposed to have our curb cut. As far as the landscaping, we've tried, but New York State does not want any landscaping in their right of way.
Okay, that's fine, but can we go back to the first comment?
About that.
Can we go back to the first comment? Can you provide that deed information to council for us so that we have the record? Thank you, okay,
Absolutely.
great.
Now, as far as the maintenance of the sight line and the traffic studies, we've gone back and forth with the traffic studies twice and have made the board appeased. And as far as the maintenance of the existing shrubs that are there, as far as the landscapers to go there on a regular bi-weekly or weekly basis to maintain the property, we would do the necessary cutbacks to preserve the sight lines for the oncoming cars up and down the road.
Yeah, I think we can certainly work that out as far as the shrubbery or the vegetation within
Oh,
the site.
I assume that we can get that worked out one way or the other between whoever the party is that's going to undertake that and
Yeah.
and be subject to enforcement on it.
Yep.
Whether it's the DOT, whether it's the town, or whether it's the private owner.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
can I
sir.
say something on this?
Absolutely, yes, please, Bob.
In my experience on sightlines, we've had not several, but a few instances where the town does grant an easement. We did that on the Campfire Gun Club. There were 2 or 3 sightlines coming there, the town had their attorneys prepare a sightline easement agreement. It was reviewed and approved by the board where the applicant, the gun club, has to maintain the sightlines in perpetuity. Meadow Hill there was some stormwater mitigation they put in the right of way or some riprap. We told the applicant that was Paul Valero, Middle Hill, up on Route 120, and they went to the state, and they got an easement agreement for them to maintain that rubble for the sidelines. Third case, along Chapel Crossing. They got an easement agreement between the state and Chapel Crossing to maintain the retaining wall. So I can't see any reason why, in this particular case as well, that they cannot get a sideline easement looking east and looking west, looking north and south, up Inwood Road, to maintain that in perpetuity. So I wouldn't think it'd be a big problem as long as it's viewed by town council and signed by the applicant, its successors and assigns, and the New York State DOT. I just wanted to say that for now.
Good, thank you, Bob.
Excuse me, can I, one
Yeah,
thing?
absolutely,
So,
please.
there's also a question of maintenance of the rock slope as well. Obviously, we don't have any information on, geotechnical information on stability of the slope after the cuts are made, but they may need maintenance after, 10, 20, 30, 40 years, so having some information on that would be, I think, critical for you.
And Jeff, would that be something that would be fairly unique, but again, we've done this with the wall, for example, in Chapel Crossing. Would you suggest that we also include some sort of ongoing rock maintenance and testing in the maintenance program?
Well, I would probably rely on the geotechnical engineering report regarding any maintenance that's required, and we would just, make sure that the applicant, has the geotechnical engineer include that, what type of maintenance is required, schedules and things like that.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, let me get to staff comments.
Oh, okay.
Sabrina, do you have any comments on this
That's it.
current resolution?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, this action is a type 2 action requiring no further environmental review. The property, for those of new members, lies within 2 zoning districts. It lies within the R1A and the R2A. The applicant is using the more stringent requirements of the R2A zoning district. You guys have been discussing the issue with the New York State DOT right away. And I would like to point out for the board that the permit issued by New York State DOT did not address the construction access. So depending on how that goes, DOT must approve of that. And then I asked if the applicant could provide additional or new revised coverage calculation worksheets. The last ones we have are from 2021 and there have been some changes. So if those could be submitted, that would be helpful.
Yeah, if I could just
Sabrina,
Sabrina, as far as the DOT is concerned, you're right, they didn't specifically say anything in the permit about the construction access, but the reason why those boulders are now being proposed out there and the large evergreen was because of discussions with DOT. So DOT, they're not very verbose in their permit documents, but that was not our proposal, that was DOT's proposal. So they were well aware of the construction access and they actually made us do the boulders and do the evergreens.
And I think it would be simple
And we would
to,
just like something from them to confirm that they are okay with that, if that is the direction that the board decides to go in.
my experience has been with the DOT that they will give you an email that says, we're okay with it, or they'll give you a new permit just for temporary construction access. But just some form of confirmation from the DOT.
If I may, please.
Yeah, we can do that.
Planning board, if I may, please, it's William DeVore trying to speak.
Yeah, go ahead, William.
It's on the permit, it reflects Dave Sessions' plans. And on the plans, it reflects the construction plan as well as the permanent driveway that's to be constructed. Those plans have been fully approved by DOT. They would not have approved the plans if they did not accept the construction access. So if you look at the permit, they reflect the pages and numbers that Dave Session has presented to the DOT with regards to the full right-of-way and the accesses. Once the construction load is entered and the permanent driveway is accessible from the front entrance, then immediately upon that, the construction entrance is to be closed as possible. And boulders are to be put up at the top with one tree, as stated by New York State. And that's entered into the plans, and that's what we're following. And
Right.
that's coming from New York State.
I think you're very correct because it says the permit is issued pursuant to in accordance with the approved plans. So if we get a copy of those, the plans that you submitted, I think we need to have those in our record here.
Yeah, I think Bob has a copy of that. I think Bob did request that a couple of months ago, and we sent those, but we're willing to send.
Okay, with the approved plans, okay. And will that include the update in terms of the boulders and the tree,
They're on the plans.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they're there. They're in your package, and I think Bob did, in fact, I know Bob did request these specific plans that were submitted and approved by DOT. So we can send them again if you don't have a
Okay.
copy.
Can I say one thing, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, absolutely, Bob. Do you wanna go through your comments as well? Bob, do you wanna go through your comments as well?
Excuse me?
Do you wanna go through all your comments as well?
Yeah, I'll hold off on my comments, but
Okay.
that's fine.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Okay, I broke up my comments into several categories. Stormwater comments, I have not reviewed the stormwater report. It's currently under review. Once I have my comments done, I will send it out to the applicant and applicant's engineer, probably prior to the next meeting. That's ST1, ST2, provide hydraulic calculations for the proposed 50-inch culvert and the temporary 12-inch to make certain when those are put in, water is not to surcharge and go out to the town road. So you really have to give us a full hydraulic calculation on both pipes. ST3, since more than 1 acre to serve its option, we get the EC approval for the full SWIP, which includes post-construction stormwater. We've got to submit a $700 fee and also application for the stormwater too. Next one's a sightline analysis, minor comment SLA1, basically the profile of SSD1 based on the plans that were done by Colliers don't correspond exactly with the plans shown on your site plan. Just make sure the distances do correlate, they're out by 30, 40, 50 feet. SLA2, we were talking about this before. Jeff was talking about this too as well, but anyway, two big items that I always look for, once this is all built and set and completed, SLA2, your engineer has to certify and give us out as-built plans to make certain that sidelines are built according to the way they were designed. And also B, this is getting back to the sideline maintenance easement agreement between the applicant and New York State, so that's gotta be maintained, including the rock slope, as Jeffrey mentioned just before, to ensure that the sidelines are adequately maintained by the applicant's successors and the sons in perpetuity. Just provide our copies of the stop and site distance study. We got it in PDF, but I don't have a hard copy, so that's SLA3. Rock cut, RC1, basically it just shows the graphical representation of the rock cut, but basically you have about 750 feet of rock cut, ranging anywhere from 4 feet to 21 feet. We have no idea what that rock cut would be when the geotech guy looks at it. So, during the course of construction, that rock face may not be found friable to create long-term erosion. So, obviously, I would highly recommend you retain the services of the geotech engineer, geological consultant, to perform a full evaluation of the rock geology and structural characteristics of the in-situ rock as presented in the geotechnical report, and the report shall be prepared by a PE. RC2, provide complete structural plans and typical sections as recommended by the geotech, which will show the maximum slope of rock ledge that can be cut out there in the field based on the in-situ information. RC3 and 4 are basically structural plans for the other two walls you have, 5-foot high diameter stone wall, and also you have a 3-foot high rubble wall. Next, maintenance protection of traffic, and by the way, I spoke to Ann Aurelius, and she said the maintenance, protection, and traffic is at the full discretion of the town. So I just wanted to say that before I start on this, and I just wanted to give you a little purview of how much impact is gonna be during construction here. Based on their cut and fill, there's gonna be an overcut of about 3,733 yards. Once you add in the swell factor, that's about 4,800 cubic yards. Just to give an idea, this would amount to approximately between 255 and 303 triaxle dump trucks, each holding about 16 to 19 cubic yard, entering the site, and between 255 and 303 leaving the site as well onto Inwood Road. In that temporary construction site, entrance was actually has very limited stopping sight distance. This would create an unsafe condition for vehicles traveling in and along Inwood Road as long as environmental impacts and see Director Planning's memo and Dennis's too. Because of that, I don't understand how in the world, if the DOT looked at that, did not mention anything about sidelines. The main driveway needs a sideline distance of 395 feet. And for those reasons, I, as a town engineer, would not recommend that the temporary construction access be allowed in this particular case and that only the main driveway entrance be used. Also, it's unclear whether the New York State Highway Board approved the temporary construction as not, I don't know. It'd be perplexing to me if they did approve it with absolutely no MPT, showing maybe that road closed in the south direction along Inwood and steer everyone down Vales Lane out to Route 133, or show those sidelines being constructed. So I just don't understand what the DOT is thinking of. So that's one of my biggest concerns on this whole thing. MPT 2, the applicant should provide a maintenance protection traffic in accordance with the MUTCD, which includes the use of flaggers. The MPT should be reviewed and approved by the Commissioner of Public Works and the town engineer. Since again, Ann Aurelius, who's the permit engineer, said the maintenance protection of traffic is at the discretion of the town. MPT 3, the applicant should provide a comprehensive construction sequencing plan, which includes graphical depiction of each associated phase, including the temporary construction access rock and removal phase. Really, the only way in my mind that temporary construction access would work is if you cut back the same amount of sight lines that you need for the main entrance, which I know is a ridiculous thing to do for a temporary construction access, or possibly close the traffic coming south, coming down the hill. By the way, based on the speed study, cars are coming down that hill 40 miles an hour. So I would recommend that lane be closed during construction, detour out to Vales Lane, intersect Route 133, and come on down to Station Road. That'd be possibly more logical MPT plan, so that would eliminate the traffic coming down the hill in the first place. Then I get the GC comments. According to the town of Newcastle water distribution map, there's a 16-inch and a 20-inch DIP running along Inwood. So therefore, the existing main should be end-scoped by the water department. They're located and accurately depicted on the site plan profile, because those are two main transmission lines. Bart Carey, the Commissioner of Public Works, is very concerned with the location and proximity of the high wall to those that's critical that be determined better than just showing it graphically on a map. GC2, due to the close proximity of the rock removal throughout the project site and proximity to the existing 16 and 20 gallon water mains, maximum will not be allowed. I had discussions with the building inspector. I had discussions with the Commissioner of Public Works who are all against it. Therefore, please provide a narrative including specifications describing the type of non-explosive methods that will be utilized. You have to obtain a street opening permit from the Department of Public Works based on the enormous amount of weight from all the trucks coming out with the amount of rock being removed. Bart Carey, the Commissioner of Public Works, is going to require, a $40,300 cash bond agreement, $40,000 to ensure protection of the roadway plus administrative fee of $300. The cash bond agreement shall be in a form acceptable to town council and approved by the town board. GC4, due to the extensive amount of rock removal and stormwater management facilities located on the site development, I'm recommending that the performance bond be posted for all the site improvements and stormwater management in an acceptable form to town council and approved by the town board. GC5, last but not least, provide an itemized engineer's cost estimate acceptable to town engineer for all the site improvements and stormwater facilities. And those are my comments for tonight, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Sure, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. Just wanted to point out, I did speak with Andre Fernandez, the owner, earlier today. And he wanted me to mention the construction access is mainly for getting the machinery on site and stationing the machinery over the area of the rock cut. Once the driveway is constructed, the construction and access can completely be closed off. The construction access doesn't have to be used to come in and out, taking materials off the site. It is almost 100% to station the construction access of the vehicles here so they can create the driveway. So this doesn't have to stay open during the entire construction process. As soon as this driveway is cut into Inningwood Road, that can be the main drive in and out. So again, the alternative is to station vehicles, construction vehicles on Inningwood Road, and the DOT is just not gonna allow it. So it's just for access to create this. Once this is created, this can be closed.
When you say stage on Illington, how long? A day or 2 weeks?
No, well, no, it's going to be,
Can
it's going to be
guys,
weeks.
can I talk? You guys hear me?
Yeah,
Identify yourself, please identify, okay, yeah. Did you get it?
Andre, I'm a German, I'm the one. Yeah, when we went over with DOT, this is like becoming a 5-year project, you know, I'm sorry, and when we went over to DOT and tell them the phase, how we're gonna cut, how we're gonna go in, we, with Anna from DOT, William, they did this plan, and they made us to come there from the bottom, because you can go right now and you can walk through the site because it's flat. Right there you don't have to cut anything. And they want us to come in. This way we can be inside the site. We don't have to do any grading, any cutting trees. We can be on the site with the machines or trucking. And they want us to remove the driveway, the rock. After we remove the rock, we can come in. It's gonna be maybe 2 weeks, yes. 2 weeks. We can come in from our driveway, and they want us to put boulders and the tree, they want us to close it. They just want to allow to come in, like I think it shows in the plan, only for a temporary open in the driveway because they don't want any trucks to stay on the road. I know the road is like a little steep and people really come a little bit fast, not 40 miles an hour, because it's a big curve, nobody comes 40 miles an hour down that road. But they come a little bit fast, but this is why DOT wants us to come in the beginning, down the road, because down the road they have a better visibility. Wherever anybody comes down, you can see right away. And then after we do the driveway, the cut, and before the open, then we can close the entrance. And the entrance is gonna be like, maybe if we start, maybe it's gonna be 2-3 weeks, and then we close.
My question was, if you said that to do the entrance, to do the curb on the right, you've gotta close down the street so the trucks can slowly make their way through the rock cut to get in to create the driveway.
No. What we wanna do, we wanna bring the machines in.
I know that, but I'm asking you a different question.
No, yes, we're gonna pull the rock up to the house platform, okay? If you see, we gotta use the rock up there too, and then the left we gotta use to do a couple walls. We're gonna pull the rock up there. Once we have the driveway, this way we talk to the DOT, Once we have the rock up there, because we have a lot of space where the septic is, where the house is gonna be, we talked to them, we're gonna pull all the rock up, we're gonna make the driveway. After the driveway is in, the culvert is in, we're gonna take the disposal. We're not gonna use any trucking if the driveway is not in. We're not trucking anything down, just when it's complete. This way, we're using the temporary road for access of machines. And we're gonna cut the driveway and pull it up the hill where this is gonna be the house. And then, after the driveway is complete, everything is stable, we're gonna truck it up. Later.
Mr. Chairman, can I say something?
Yes, absolutely, Bob.
I think, I understand what the contractor's saying, but I think it would be a great help to everyone here at the meeting to show all this in a sequence plan done by Keller Sessions, so we can all review it. So from what you're telling me, the owner of the contracting company, you're not gonna bring one of the, you're not gonna bring any of the trucks out of that temporary access road for the rock removal. You're gonna store all the rock that you blast up on the
I'm not
site.
blasting, I'm not blasting.
Well, whatever rock you remove, you're gonna
Yes.
store it up on the site, just so I understand. And then when you come out to the main access road, which is the main driveway, that's when you're gonna remove all the material from the site. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Well, I think you should relay all this to your engineers, and I think you should come up with a sequencing plan, which is one of my comments. And if I would have known all that, I would have made that one comment about that. But it's critical that you show that in a plan, and they should show some sort of sideline at that entrance as well. And it's just my 2 cents being put in here to make things a little bit easier, so at least at the next meeting, the planning board can see it. I can see it, we can all comment on it, and I think it's gonna make everyone's lives a little bit easier. And it's great talking about it, you got good ideas, but you gotta put them on the paper.
Yes,
And I think the other thing is this, in addition to the road cut, let's not forget, there's more rock work being done here up the hill, because you're gonna be cutting back in addition. So that's gonna be part of the sequence plan as well.
Yeah.
Because it's not as simple and not as quick as being described to us, and that's why we wanna see it in writing, because we know darn well that you may blast through this cliff and get onto Inningwood, but you have additional work going up the hill. And how is that going to be accessed, and what's the timing on that, and how, and again, you're not gonna be able to cut that back and leave the road wide open without a very good, robust MPT. So, what is the plan? Give us all this information, not, and again, you know, the other issue is, I'll make the presumption that all this was in the DOT plan and part of the DOT approval, because you're representing to us that this is what was approved by the DOT. Well, what was approved by the DOT? Was that included? Was the sequence in
Yes.
there approved? So show it to us then,
Okay.
because we can't guess on this. And again, to Greg's point, how long will this take? Well, it may, maybe 10 days, maybe 2 weeks here, then it'll be closed up here. Well, wait a second, what about the sightline work that you're gonna do up further up the hill?
And
Was that included?
And the question I was trying to ask is, to enter on the right or to enter on the left, is entering on the left that much faster than entering on the right? Because you're saying, well, we can't enter on the right because we have to close the road and we gotta cut in. Well, to enter on the left, do you have to also close the road, and are you gonna spend 2 weeks cutting in
No.
there? That's
No.
what I'm trying to get to.
No, this is very, well, at least in the beginning, machines can literally walk up here. We've done it when we did all of our stormwater testing.
Okay.
No cutting, no tree removal. It's very steep as far as grades are concerned. We
But
can't get up to a house.
a track can get up.
Exactly.
But on the right-hand side, you guys can't get off the street.
No, it's a sheer rock.
Sheer rock going
Face.
right up, okay.
Yeah. And Mr. Chairman, we received the memos a week or two ago. We understand your concern, we understand the need for more detail. We absolutely will be giving you those details, and you know, Bob's comments are legitimate, and we're gonna address every one of them. No question about it.
Also, just one more point I wanted to make out, the hydraulic calculations were all approved by DOT for the culverts and the drain pipes and all of that, which were presented to them.
We did not see them. I asked Ann Dorelius about that. She said it's all at our discretion, so we'd like to see it. That road, if that water backs up, that road's gonna come on a town road, which is the responsibility of the Commissioner of Public Works. It's not, let me finish, please. It's not the responsibility.
We can give those to you, that's all I'm trying to say. We will give you those.
Okay, we did not see them, they're not submitted. I wish I got them, I would have made comments on them.
That, no, we got it, Bob, we'll get you everything you've commented on.
Thank you.
Dennis, you had comments?
Okay, here's what everybody wanted, more comments. So under tree replacement, I started with, I just compared it to December 2022, so just to illustrate, I didn't analyze the whys, just that there seemed to be a 25-inch difference in terms of diameter that originally was gonna be replaced by planting, which now is under the tree bank fund, so for the purposes of the board, that's about 10 replaced trees that are going to the fund versus being replanted. I was fine with all the calculations to determine all of that with respect to chapter 121. How timely to point out in the year of spotted lanternfly that 121-6J allows the approving authority, which is the planning board, to reduce the required tree replacement if removals include invasive species. In this case, there was some Tria heavens and 3 that they're removing that they did not include in their replacement calculations, and I'm fine with that, especially after this summer. Again, this is a repeat from the earlier applicant today, not just the diameters of the deciduous trees, but they're going to 12 to 14 inch height. Evergreens were typically 8 to 10 in the replacement world, and in this case, which everybody's been talking about, obviously there's a lot of rock, there's gonna be a lot of stockpiling, there's gonna be a lot of grading, there's gonna be a lot of manipulation. Again, that, long-time nursery raised tree now being dropped into this condition on, in cases on slope, I think, similarly, unless there's, irrigation systems and a lot more maintenance and care to drop the sizes to what we typically recommend, I think, it would be better for this site. Similarly, as applicable, evergreens don't necessarily require herbivorous trunk growth protection, but I would like that, shown on the plans for these trees as well. And then I guess the last comment that you guys have been talking about, so the boulders in the tree is supposed to be planted on the right of way, placed on the right of way. None of that is supposed to be on the property to serve as the sort of barrier, because right now it's shown outside the property line. Or am I wrong?
It's in the right way.
Right, so why is that not on the property? Where you have custody over it, right? Or do you have custody over all the right of way going forward?
I believe it was a request of the DOT. And I'm assuming they wanted it on their property. And it's closer to the road, so obviously the closer to the road, the more people are dissuaded from trying to access the property.
Okay,
So
I would just confirm that, because if it was a town road and we saw that, we would be like, could you just push that back on your property, please?
the DOT wanted it, I believe, on their property, close
Okay.
to the road. So, they're trying to prevent access.
I understand, it's unusual though when I first saw
Yeah.
it, so that's why I wanted to, okay.
Yep.
Alright, well, you're gonna have a lot of rocks, so if you wanna do a block copy paste and do that on your property, maybe that would be fun. And you'd have 2 of them, this would be like a double barrier. I think that does it for my comments now, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Okay, good.
I got some questions. One's an education and one's an alternate thought. On page 10, it's page 10 of 10,
Which is.
your proposed hydrology plan.
Oh,
Are you guys doing work on your neighbor's property?
which neighbor?
To the right,
Here?
yeah. Because there's comments about soil lines and drainage and you've got all these arrows and I'm just wondering, are you?
No.
Okay.
No, that's, if I had to guess, and I've got the plan out in the hallway, that's probably an existing conditions sub drainage area
Okay.
that shows flows from off-site, we've got to accommodate everything, even if it's off the property line.
That's what I thought, just double
Yeah,
check.
that's what that is.
My other question is a little bit harder. Have you guys ever considered just using the temporary driveway as your permanent driveway and not doing the one on the right?
That was the subject of much discussion,
With this board or DOT?
this board,
Oh, okay.
years ago.
Oh, so you already
When
beat
you
this.
were a wee child.
When
Well,
I-
no,
I-
even
I
last
missed
time
the first time around.
Even last time around, we talked about this.
Yeah, no, we did.
Because you said it's easier to get in.
It's easier to get in, but not with a vehicle.
It's
With
steep.
a-
It's a 10%,
Very-
it'll be a 10% driveway, I think.
No, it'll be it's untenable.
It's untenable.
Yeah, we looked at alternatives,
I mean,
we've
you're
done
bucking
profiles.
34 feet, just, right here, it looks like you're 34 feet in 400, right? So that's where I was thinking you're about 10.
To access,
And then you'd flip,
house site.
you'd flip around and put the garage on the other side.
yeah, we really
Okay.
looked at that.
I gotta ask a question, Dave.
No, absolutely.
What's the grade of the proposed drive going into the proposed house at this point?
Oh, well, it varies obviously.
Yes, right,
It
of course.
goes 42 to 64.
I believe I don't think it's more than 10% at its steepest. It's more like 6 or 8% in the lower part, and then it obviously gets steeper and then it shallows out for an apron before the house.
And to Greg's point, I think we determined that it would be, well, without significant treatment or maybe use of rock on the site, I think we determined, Dave, that it was more than 13% in some sections going, if we came up when you come up the construction track.
Yes. I think it was even more than 13.
It's 13.96.
And you've got the alternative. And the problem is you've got platforms, you can't just shoot straight up at
Yes.
13 or 14, you've got platforms.
Agreed. And that's tricky coming down, making the right or left hand turn out of the driveway.
Yeah, and quite frankly, the sight distance is worse here because you've got this continuous curve at this location. If it was curved the other way, it'd be a lot easier. Now this is pretty flat going west. It is curved going east, but it's a lot safer this condition than it is in this condition. The sight distance is not good here for a permanent solution. And again, this construction access is not going to get a lot of usage. It's really just to get the vehicles in on site, have them staged there, do their work, and that's it, we close it up.
But I'm assuming all the construction workers are going up and down that driveway until the right-hand driveway is up and running.
That's true.
And
Yeah.
that's gonna take some time to get that right-hand driveway
Yeah.
up and running.
Yeah.
Okay. And that would speak to the drawing you referenced about, let us know the sequence of all these elements.
Yeah.
Can I just add one comment that I
Mr. Chairman, can I say something, Mr. Chairman?
Sure, Bob, and then we'll take that
I mean,
as
usually what we do on these projects where the driveway is such a impact to everything and it's so critical to be built, we usually don't do any inspections or allow them to build a house until such time this main driveway is constructed. Because what will happen is they'll just focus on the house, forget about the driveway, and during that time, they'll have more traffic coming out of that temporary construction site with limited sightlines. So we've done that in the past on steep slopes applications when Frank was here. So I would highly recommend we do that again here to make certain that the contractor focuses on the driveway first and foremost.
And so, Bob, you would suggest that would be part of the overall sequence plan as well?
That is correct.
As soon as there's access to Inningwood, this goes away. I mean, that's it, and this is gonna be the first order of business.
Mhm.
So, and again, Bob, it'll be clearly outlined in the sequence, no question about it.
Dennis, you had a
I
question?
would hope they can do something with the sightlines down there, because we know for a fact it's very limited down there. That construction access piece, I'm still not clear on what's going in, how long it's gonna be going in, but that's all gonna be looked at and reviewed by the planning board and when we submit it, so. we'll wait.
Okay. Dennis, you had a question?
Yeah, so something that just hit me, so, and is there potential for, so that there's obviously consideration that, and I'm fine with this, I'm just bringing it to light. So you'll get credit for replaced trees that aren't gonna be on the parcel, they're gonna be in the right of way, that's fine. So then is there consideration for maybe more than one, possibly? Like, you know what I mean, like in other words, to try to take advantage of that, requirement to produce that effect of, you know, not just it's boulders in a tree. Why it works out to that, that's fine, but it could be boulders and a couple trees or something to that effect. Even working its way, if it needed to, off the right of way and even into the property where that, you know, alleyway, and I'm familiar with the alleyway, that's how I got off the property. I don't know why I decided to go on the hard way, but I remember when I had done that, so it's just a consideration, because as I said at the beginning of the memo, you know, 10 replaced trees compared to 2022 are now going to the tree bank fund versus replanting, so to shave, if there's opportunity to shave off of that in that location, it's just, you know, something to look at other than the knee jerk that the DOT required. That basically was my comment.
Okay.
Dennis, how is your count being calculated? If the applicant is being required to cut trees in the DOT right of way, does he get charged with that as a tree removal? Does he not have to replace a tree that's being removed by the state or at the order of the state?
Well, they seem to all be accounted for, because A, they have X's, and B, they do have tag numbers, so the assumption was that was all included in the diameter calculations, and from what they show, there were only 4 trees in the right of way that had X's through them,
Yeah.
so the assumption was that they were
Okay,
included.
They were.
That makes sense.
okay. Anyone else? Question? Jeff?
Yeah, a couple. So your temporary construction access, you envision your excavators going over that, some vehicles, but you're not gonna be bringing any dump trucks off-site through that method or through that entrance?
I would maybe defer to Andre on that. I mean, there's excavators. Andre, do you envision dump trucks too initially coming up and staging it onto the site?
Yes, my priority is like Bob said, I think Bob, and DOT, they wanted us to focus in the driveway and cut in the driveway and put the cove and finish for right the moment we're gonna open the driveway, you're gonna be phasing. The phasing is gonna be open the driveway, put the cove, pushing the material back and stable the driveway. After we're gonna fix the left side of the house with the stable hill and the stable driveway, we're gonna remove the rock left open. But the most concern is gonna be open the driveway, and after we close the service road, we're gonna remove. But from the day one, no, we're not gonna bring dump trucks and anything, because we have a lot of space to push the rock back all the way up. I own a company. I do a lot of high-rise and also rock removal. And I have big, like 349 excavator caterpillars, like a 50-ton excavator.
Yep.
And then we
Let's
can
stop there
remove
for a second.
that rock.
Can we stop there for a second? So your traffic
Yes.
management plan, you're going to have where you're gonna shut the road down to take that excavator off, get it onto the site, correct? Cause you're gonna bring that in with on a flatbed, it's gonna have to stop,
Yes.
right? So you're gonna have to shut the road down. Just make sure you include that in your transaction plan. Are you gonna have what kind of bulldozers are you bringing in, D90s?
No bulldozer, excavator, 349, excavator, it's a normal
I
50-ton excavator.
know what it is. But so now you're gonna be bringing out equipment, you're gonna have to shut the road down. But in that event, if you're gonna be able to bring dump trucks up this temporary road, why not, and to make sure that you don't have any staging on the road with your dump trucks, cause I haven't met a dump truck driver that actually listens and shows up when you tell them to. So you're probably gonna have multiple dump trucks that are showing up to get this off-site, utilizing basically a clockwise rotation where they come in off your construction entrance, stage on the property and go back out the new one.
If I can interrupt, the point, the point is, I don't think material, Andre, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think material is being brought off-site until that construction entrance is closed. The only material coming off-site is gonna be coming off the main entrance road once it's constructed.
Yeah, I think he
But why
said
not-
all the dump trucks,
Yeah.
the dump trucks are moving, the 250 to 300 dump trucks are going out the right driveway when it's built. I think
Right.
that's what he said
When
earlier.
it's built.
When it's
Yeah.
built, yeah.
Right,
I'm
not
saying
not
to
the
eliminate the potential of dump trucks queuing on the road, talk to DOT and utilize the clockwise, have them come in the left entrance, go up, get loaded and come out the right entrance and they're no longer.
But the left entrance, I'm a little bit, the left entrance is the service entrance.
Right.
It's steep, and it's not gonna be able to bring trucks up the hill,
Okay,
okay? And the rock is a little bit off. Once you open the driveway, it's a little bit off. And I don't wanna move the rock a lot of down. I can move it down, but if I move it down, I gotta fix the entrance. And I don't wanna also disturb the service road. The service road is gonna be only pickups and excavators, that's it. Nothing's gonna go through there. I'm not gonna create a road to go in and out on there. Because I don't wanna also disturb that area too much, and when we talk to DOT, they don't want us to be creating a road that also too, like in and out of there.
are you gonna crush the rock on site or are you taking it off and what are you bringing it down to, what size?
We're gonna take it all down to like Lora Marans. I don't know if you know what's Lora Marans. Up the route, they're gonna crush off site. Because when you
So
crush
your
on site,
swell factor is going to be, you're not taking it to like 1 inch or 3 inch minus, you're gonna be taking off your boulders. So
no.
your 250
I
or
wanna-
300 may be a little bit more than 250.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going at. And then we're not gonna be getting
Yeah.
complaints from neighbors that you have a crusher on site that's creating noise.
That is not,
No.
that is not the, no.
And
that's not
then-
what we're-
But you will have a cracker, right? You're gonna have to
he's probably
pound
gonna
the
have
rock.
he's gonna have a pneumatic hammer on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I
The
assume you're having
349, you put a hammer on.
Okay.
Which is the same.
Yeah.
So the neighbors will have that for some period of time.
Then
They
as
will.
far as
Yeah, you gotta bring some eggs to make an omelet, so
I just, don't hate me on
Can I
that.
just
Bring Lonzo
Go ahead,
too.
Jeff.
let me just piggyback onto that. So just make sure you have a robust queuing plan on site
Yeah.
for trucks that are staged. I think we probably don't want trucks queuing on the road, so there's gotta be enough room on site to have empty trucks while they're being loaded, that's all.
I wanted to ask one question, and Jeff made me think of this, and you guys may have the answer on this. You're gonna have your excavators or whatever up on top, and you're gonna start to work on the rock. You obviously are not going to let the rock go into Inningwood Road, so you're gonna have to pull it back? Because you're not gonna be able to push it.
That's what he said, he said
Yeah,
he's
so
gonna pull it all
how,
back.
what kind of, I think it was Jeff who asked how you're gonna do that without dump trucks, because are you just gonna pull that stuff and then eventually when you get low enough, then you're gonna be able to turn around bulldozers or whatever and push it? I just don't know how you're gonna start, I mean, that's a high cliff, it's a 15-foot cliff.
If you see where the foundation of the house is now, we're gonna push the driveway, start it, if we bring the excavator to the top, we're gonna, because all the rock is fractured rock. And that thing comes off with a ripper. And we're gonna push it back to the driveway, to the house foundation, all the way up there. And then we're gonna create, exactly, we're gonna make a plan, to create, entrance and out of the trucks, no impacting anything in the street. And then we're gonna make the driveway very enough, this way we can have 2 trucks in and out. And we're gonna push all the way everything back there, this way it's away from the road. And have space for the trucks come in, clean the tires, do everything inside and leave. This way you don't impact, it's 200 truckloads. I don't think it is 200 truckloads. Some sites, some rock we're gonna use along on the left and the right to. And in the back of the house also, with the septic holes and where the pool used to be, but we remove, we're gonna use some rock there. And after we push it back, it's gonna be easy to storage the trucks inside the site and remove from the site to no impact the street, because DOT specific wants no vehicles on the street at all.
Switching over to your septic and your calcs, and maybe this was Sabrina was referencing on the front cover here of, so page 1 of 6, you have total square footage of 5,326. That doesn't include the basement, which has a bathroom in it. In your permit, you had habitable space of 3,500 square feet. So appears to be a little discrepancy. Granted, I'm not a septic expert, but your plans, not including the basement, are greater than that.
Yeah, and you may very well be correct. The square footage for the basement probably wasn't included, but County Health Department does not consider square footage when they talk about septic systems. It's strictly the number of bedrooms that they define as a bedroom. So you could have a 7,000 square foot house and a 2-bedroom house, and it's a 2-bedroom septic. It's so the square footage is not applicable as far as the calculations of the septic system.
And you can
It's
have
all
12
about
bathrooms too. You can have 12 bathrooms.
I mean, it's just
all
saying
bedrooms.
it says the 3,500 square feet is here, and then just the first and second floor. I'm on sewer, so.
Yeah, no, it is bedroom
Maybe
count.
lucky.
Now, sometimes you have to be careful though, that there's not lots of extra rooms that are called playroom,
Right, I
study,
mean-
lounge, that could become a bedroom, but that's not for us to rule on.
Well, but we have done this in the past where we have said, for example, we will restrict any future development of a basement so that it will never be used as bedrooms. We did that with Chapel Crossing.
Across it, yeah.
So we can do that, and that could be a concern, Jeff, that might be something that, we throw into the conditions.
But it is a big house.
We'll make sure there was an issue with the septic given the house.
Yes.
And the attic is not going to be finished, is that correct?
The attic is not going to be finished, guys?
I didn't have it in the plans to be, have a finished attic.
I'm just curious, cause on page 4, I think it has stairs up to an attic, and you can see that there's 3 windows up into the attic. Just wanna make sure it wasn't.
Yeah, I think that's aesthetic, the
Okay.
windows and just access to the attic.
Okay.
Storage or something like that, but there's no formal plans to finish the attic as far as I know.
You're not putting the rock up there.
That's what Greg Grady lives on.
We hadn't thought of that, it's not a bad idea.
You see? You can take out 2 dump truck loads that way, right?
That's good.
Okay, anyone else? Stuart, anything? I'm good. Okay,
Alright, well, this was
See you.
helpful, we appreciate the time, lot of comments that we'll address. I get it, but I think hopefully the layout is pretty solid at this point, and we'll
Do we wanna try to
We'll
stop
dot the
those
i's
like
and cross
this?
the
Yes, I think we should.
With the applicant or?
well, if you wish, whatever you wanna do, I think we should wait for the snows. It's very steep, by the way, so the snow has to be abated.
Right.
I think you guys should see this. You should go
Yeah.
on the site, then you should walk up and see what the applicant's talking about, how you're up on top. and you'll see what the cut is and how it all works. In the flat areas, you'll see the flat areas up there and what their plans are with the house sites. So I guess we'll hold that in abeyance. How long do you think it'll be before you'll be back to us with updated information?
Is Andre still on the? It's a joke. See if I say anything less than 2 weeks, I'm a hero.
Oh, yeah, keep it reasonable, that's all.
Sabrina, what were you?
No, I was just gonna say, I think that, we'd rather you take your time and have complete information for us before you rush to submit to get on an agenda.
Agreed,
And the DOT plans, I mean, that's, I think, very important.
very important. Because the observation was made, and I was showing that to Greg, it says it's been approved per those plans.
Yeah.
And again, we wanna make sure that the sequence is part of that plan as well, so that we're all together, have a congruent plan between the town, you and the DOT.
I mean, what we've heard tonight, we're going to beef up our sequencing, put more detail to it. So obviously the DOT didn't see that kind of detail, but it's only going to get better. So the plans that we submitted, absent some details that the DOT wasn't interested in, those are the plans that the DOT approved. They're the same plans. We haven't really changed them. The grading, the layout, the site distance, so
And I think that's
same plans.
I think that's okay, because as we heard from Bob, the DOT has basically deferred these kinds of details to the town.
Yeah, the maintenance and protection of traffic.
Well, maintenance, the traffic plan, et cetera, so and we still
And the
have.
sequencing plan too as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And again, to remind everyone, this is still a steep slope application, so it's, it's still subject to the town's steep slope regulations.
Yep.
In terms of you're breaching this cliff.
But no wetlands.
If you're gonna be reaching out to the DOT, I'd follow up with Jeff or Bob and get the easement that Bob mentioned, at least 3 that have the easement for the sight line clearing. So in your conversation, you can at least provide it and say, town's gonna require something like this, which you've previously approved.
Yeah, an easement agreement. So yeah, William,
Yeah.
we'll talk offline about the deed and the title report and all of that.
But I don't want you to reinvent the wheel with DOT, cause I can tell you that there are easements that exist for site clearing. At least one that I'm on, cause he mentioned one of the subdivisions that I'm in, where I'm responsible for going and clearing certain areas, certain amount of time, and in the right of way. Give it to them, say you've already approved it, we're gonna require the same thing, it should make your life a lot easier.
So, okay, so we'll wait till we see that from you.
Yep, good.
Alright, well, thanks for your time.
Just let us
Appreciate
know, yeah, contact us and we'll take it from there.
it. And yeah, we'll work on the memos and I understand, Sabrina, we wanna dot the i's, cross the t's before we come back.
Yeah, as
And
much as
by
possible.
then, by then the snow might be melted.
Yeah, and what we'll do is, in the meantime, maybe sometime in early March, we'll schedule a site visit. Should be safe at that point. And
Well, would we wanna be there
I think it might be
before they come
helpful.
back?
I'd let the applicant identify kind of the access ways so that when you go out there, you can see what they're proposing. So maybe wait until they resubmit and then come before you, and then we can arrange the site walk.
and last time, when we went out there, it was all staked out for us too. I don't know if the stakes are still there. I suspect they might still be there, some, but maybe the flags are worn out.
They are. But it's like 3 years ago, no? Almost.
Could be,
Well, we'll freshen them up if they're not.
yes. And again, we made some changes, I think, too, in some of the house locations, but I think the driveway's probably the same.
It is.
And the access road is still the same.
Yep.
The center lines are probably all the same.
Yeah.
Yep. Good,
Okay,
okay,
good.
Yeah.
great,
Thank you.
very good, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Good night.
Okay, we go now to the minutes of December 17. Did you make those changes? Okay. So we have some changes in the minutes, very minimal. The votes were actually 5-0, not 6-0. So we made those changes and I think we made some changes with regard to a
Is
second.
that
or two.
because we didn't need Richard to vote?
Yes, yeah, we only have 5, so we can't overpopulate ourselves without authorization. So we talk about getting something from the DOT, this would be really tough. Anyway, so those are the minor changes, and I think we had a second or two in one of the motions changed. But other than that, any questions at all with anyone, from anyone on these?
No questions for me.
No. If not, is there a motion to adopt the minutes as amended for December 17th?
Motion?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
And we have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion?
Second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, good.
Good night.